what are the most effective ways that you've been able to communicate the importance of cybersecurity and say that this is the touch point that's going to be the saving grace? Is it just communication, the ability that we're not going to be afraid to have that conversation? Is it the skill building? Is it the prioritization and the consistency in thinking about cyber? What's the element that changes cybersecurity from something that's passive to something that's really active?
The constant communication and conversation, I think, is probably the biggest thing that has had an impact for me. But one step beyond that is when you have that regular conversation stimulated in a team, to be able to take the next step and say, if we're talking about a news event or if we're talking about a security bug that was reported or like whatever the case may be, if you can find 15 minutes in your team meeting to actually dig into the technical details, I have found that developers specifically are very receptive to learning about how one of those attacks unfold because they're simply unaware of the thought process of how these attacks happen. And I think that's been one of the most impactful things for me as a security practitioner is being able to take that next step to say, okay, if we really learn how an attacker thinks, because it's very different than how a software engineer thinks. We like to look at lists of tasks, and typically we're fairly organized and we're very focused. And when you learn how an attacker does enumeration against either a web application or a network or whatever it might be, there is some organization and focus, but generally speaking, it's sort of throwing a bunch of stuff at a wall, seeing what sticks, and then trying to piece things together from there. And one of the comments that I hear all the time is, well, no one's going to hack our app. There's nothing valuable here. We're not a target. And all I can do is shake my head and say, none of those facts matter to the attacker. They're looking for something interesting. And if they find something interesting, they'll find a way to squeeze $1 out of you.
Yeah, that's the lamest excuse you can put out there.
Right. Where there's a will, there's a way. So, yeah, I think the conversation comes first. But if you can take the next step and then you make a piece of conversation more real by digging into it, that's really where the rubber meets the road.